Good morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Elaine and I work as an occupational therapist in a community mental health team. I've been asked to share a little bit about my frontline experience over the past year. So this has always been a varied and busy role, but as you can imagine, this last year has brought additional stresses both for the team and for the people who use our services. Mental health has certainly been high on the agenda through the current pandemic. The first lockdown was sudden and unexpected. We were not prepared and had to change a lot of our procedures within a short space of time. As occupational therapists in mental health, we focus on clients' occupational participation and their ability to engage with those things that are meaningful in their lives. We recognise the importance of being productive and active, of engaging in our daily tasks and being part of our communities. The ability to do this was directly affected by the lockdown and brought additional challenges. We were no longer able to run face-to-face groups or support people in their homes or community to access those services that were and are so important to their mental health. There remains a lot of stigma around mental health, and often it is invisible. People struggle inwardly and often unnoticed, but we all have mental health and we all need to take care of it. Part of what this pandemic has taught us is how fragile this can be when faced with relentless challenges, when we no longer have the freedom to do those things that are so important to our emotional well-being, when we can't see our families and friends, when we can't have or give a hug, when we can't leave our homes, or when fear and anxiety grip our lives and our minds. But for a lot of people, this is and has been their lives for many years, caught in their own personal lockdown due to their mental health issues. As one client once said to me earlier last year, "Welcome to my world." So how have we met those challenges in our team? How have we adapted our world and the way we do things? On a practical level, we created a virtual group called Occupation and Wellbeing to do just that, to promote alternative ways that people could engage with those things that bring them meaning and fulfillment despite the restrictions, to provide a space for people to share their experiences and learn just how to keep going through these difficult times. This itself brought many challenges in a similar way to how we have had to adapt to online services at church. Some clients don't have the technology to access these groups. Some of the technology available to us has been frustrating to use at the best of times. But for some people, it had also provided access to groups where they may have struggled to engage previously, as they don't have to overcome that anxiety of leaving the house or being around others. But as a therapist, how did this feel? So many people struggling, so many people relying on my support. At times it was overwhelming. At times I felt as though I couldn't do my job, that I didn't have the resources emotionally or physically. I remember in one of my supervision sessions reflecting that I felt like I was just holding my caseload, that in terms of therapy it was hard to feel effective and at times it just felt too much. It affected my mood, my sleep, and my own anxiety. It made me more acutely aware of how my clients might be feeling. So what did I do, and how did I keep going? Well, first I had to be honest with myself and recognise how I was feeling. I needed to be compassionate with myself. Secondly, I needed to speak to someone else about how I was feeling. I'm grateful for the support network of people around me, both professionally and personally, that enabled me to do this. And I needed to connect with them on a regular basis. Thirdly, I needed to focus on what I could control and let go of what I couldn't. And lastly, I needed to take care of myself, to take time out to rest, to engage with nature, to exercise, and to switch off from work. Now, these are all valuable in maintaining positive mental health, and I'm the first to recommend such things to my clients. But I realised that as a Christian, I appeared to have left out the biggest and most important factor: God. So where was God in all of this? Well, of course, he was there all the time. I just didn't notice. He was walking that path with me. I just didn't notice. He was sharing my anxieties and my stress. I just didn't notice. He was carrying me through those tough days. I just didn't notice. And he was caring for the people that I was trying to hold up. I just didn't notice. And when I did eventually notice, probably on one of the toughest days when I was feeling particularly exhausted by the workload and the responsibilities, then I realised that God cared most about how I was feeling. I realised that God was in control of the situation. I realised that he wanted me to connect to him and that he is the ultimate provider of compassion for me and the people I work with. Then and only then did I hand all this to God, and I prayed. I prayed for God to be with me in my work situation, for God to ease my anxieties that came mostly at night time as I tried to sleep, for God to give me strength for each day. I prayed for the people I support, for having the right words to say, and for wisdom in dealing with their situations. And as I lifted this up, as I handed it all to God, I was able to rest, I was able to sleep, and I was able to gain strength and most of all feel more at peace. Now, I have never been the most consistent prayer, and the chain of events isn't unusual for me. I'm a slow learner. How many times in my life has reaching out to God been the last port of call when I have found myself struggling to hold things together in my own strength? And I wonder, will I ever learn? But I have found one strategy that works for me as a reminder to do just that. As I drive to work, I go over a large bridge, and I've used this to remind me to pray about my day as I journey to work. It certainly doesn't mean my days are always straightforward and stress-free, but it does reassure me that I'm not doing this on my own and gives me confidence. And I came across a saying which represents my frontline experience. Prayer is the bridge between panic and peace. And I will try to take this with me each day as I continue to drive over that bridge to remind me that I can cast all my anxiety on him because he cares for me and my clients. I hope that in some way this may be helpful for you too. Thanks for listening, and I pray that if you or anyone you know is struggling with their mental health during this pandemic, that you will know the peace that only God can bring during these times. Talk to someone and ask them to pray with you or for you. I have really valued my house group prayer time where we are able to share the difficulties and pray together for our own and others' mental health during these times. Don't struggle on your own. You won't be the only person to be feeling this way.